And, everybody overthinks. Everybody does. It's a myth that meditation is about not thinking. It's just about learning to be more aware. And, that level of self-awareness. Yeah. So many things, so many benefits.
Welcome to the Redefining Midlife podcast. I'm Jo Clark and I'm so glad you're here. And this is a podcast for women who are ready to break free from outdated stereotypes, rediscover themselves, and embrace the endless opportunities that midlife brings. Each week, I'll share expert advice, actionable strategies, and inspiring conversations with incredible women who are redefining what it means to thrive in midlife and beyond. From health and wellness to reigniting your purpose and passions, this is your go-to podcast for feeling empowered, supported, and seen. And midlife isn't the end. It's your time to shine, rewrite your story, and create a life that you truly love. So let's get started. Welcome to episode 136. Now, I have a feeling that this episode is going to speak to so many women. Today, we're joined by the wonderful Michelle Eckles, someone with an incredible life story that's equal parts entertaining, expansive, and enlightening. Now, from crossing paths with some of the world's most famous people to her current work of teaching mindfulness and meditation, Michelle shares with us today some simple, practical, down-to-earth steps that will bring more ease and less stress into your day. And I know so many of you who listen could do with that. Now, this is definitely one of those episodes where you'll want a pen and paper nearby because Michelle offers so many powerful insights and simple life-changing tips. And I'd love to hear what resonates with you or what you're inspired to try. So feel free to message me or email me after you've listened. Welcome to the podcast, Michelle. I'm so looking forward to learning more about the work that you do and also that winding path that got you to where you are now.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jo. Glad to be here.
So before we get started, I'd like to know a little bit more about you in your younger years, where you grew up, what life was like for you when you were a much younger Michelle.
Yeah, so I'm a OG, as we like to say, a Sunshine Coast original. Have lived here most of my life with some stints overseas and also in Sydney. Raised by a single dad and my brother. Went to school in Caloundra, grew up mostly in the southern end, and always return home to the sunny coast after all my travels because that's where all my family is or has been. And so fairly free sort of childhood, I guess. Be home before dark kind of thing, and always out somewhere on our bikes riding around the neighborhood.
Yep. And so did being a coastal girl, was the beach a big part of your life when you were growing up as well?
It was. We actually lived opposite the beach at Golden Beach, but it's not my go-to. I actually prefer being out in the bush myself, but I do like walking my dog down, the beach along the footpath there at Mooloolaba and Alex. But yeah, myself personally, I do prefer the bush.
Oh, nice. And so when you were younger at school, did you have any grand dreams of what you might like to do in the direction your life was going to take?
Well, funnily enough, I think I was definitely a born events organizer. My mum sometimes jokes I was planning my baby shower in the womb. I like to run little neighborhood concerts. So I used to round up the kids in the neighborhood and get them to all do some kind of performance. And then we'd charge the parents to come and watch them, and we'd bake some goodies and sell those as well. So I think before, events became a job or an industry, probably not even until the early 2000s, really after the Sydney Olympics when it boomed. Yeah, who'd ever thought I could get paid to to organize stuff like that?
I love that. What budding a little entrepreneur you would have been back then. So that's gorgeous. So how did you get into that? Is that what you decided to do once you had left school? All right, this is the area that I've got a lot of passion in. I'm going to go this way. Or what happened?
No, well, it just wasn't a thing back then. So when I left school, I actually started working for NAB and worked there for about 6 years. And then I got the travel bug, went to South America with a friend, came home and to one-way ticket to London. And part of my role there when I was working in London was a PA, and I was helping organize the conference. And I really enjoyed doing that. And I was actually I can't remember where it is now. It might be in Notting Hill. Richard Branson, I don't know if he still owns it. It was a venue called the Fourth Floor or something like that. And I remember going to a meeting there, and it was just like an ordinary office building or apartment building. And we came out on this level and walked out. I kid you not, it was like this enchanted garden with live flamingos and waterfalls and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, yep, this is what I want to do.
And you
And then I
basically
came back
bought
home
into
just
it.
after the Sydney Olympics. Yeah, well, I came back home after the Sydney Olympics, and that's when, yeah, the industry was really booming. And I continued to do PA roles where I was organizing things. And then I finally, yeah, got a job. Actually, a lady that I still contract for now. So for 20 years, 20 plus years, I've been contracting for her, gave me my first events job.
Wow.
And yeah, that was it.
And was that an absolute passion for you? Obviously, it was when you were younger, when
Yeah,
you were in London, and then okay.
yeah,
And and when we
yeah.
first met,
I just love organizing anything.
well, you'd be handy to have around, I can tell you, because I can't stand it. But when you when we met a couple of months ago now, like you just off the cuff, and it was just part of a conversation, as though it's a conversation that happens to everybody, and these sort of. I was left with my jaw on the ground. Some of the names, some of the different events that you have helped organise are really quite extraordinary. And I don't know whether,
Yeah,
like, you must look back now, whether I don't know what you thought at the time, but you must look back now with so much pride to think that you were able to do such incredible work. Do you mind sharing some of the things that you did
definitely.
with me?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was it's been more in the last kind of 5 to 10 years, I guess. So pre-COVID was when we really sort of started, well, the company that I was contracting for really started to get some big name speakers out. And I just wrapped up my kids' party business that I was running for a while. My kids were older, and I wrapped that up and happened to reach out to her and said, I've shut down my party business, got some free time now. If you ever need some help, let me know. She was like, oh my God, I've got Hillary Clinton coming in 3 weeks and my event manager just quit. And I was like, what? And yeah, I remember I was helping out there, and I remember being backstage with like Hillary Clinton and Julia Gillard. And then like I had to jump in a taxi and go to the airport. And I was just riding in that taxi going, what the hell just happened? Like,
Oh,
seriously. And yeah, from there we did Brene Brown, one of my favorites, Malala Yousafzai. And then the big one, we got to do several events for President Obama and Michelle Obama in Singapore. And then because we'd done that in 2019 for them, they then trusted us to manage his Australian tour in 2023. So that was very exciting. Got to do 4 events in 5 days for him in Sydney and Melbourne. Intense, but yeah, very cool.
that's extraordinary. So you must have met.
Yeah.
Did you get to meet any of these people at all, or you were behind the scenes? What was
Yeah, yep. Yeah, so got to meet them, worked quite closely with the Secret Service, who are just absolutely lovely, lovely, normal people. Yeah, they have great teams. They're all fabulous to work with. And yeah, obviously got to work with, we were working with many, many, many different, obviously, companies, and everybody gets excited too when it is someone like that. So everybody else has the same level of excitement. Everybody wants to do their best, put on their best, show their best, showcase, Australia and what we, can do. And yeah, it's a real buzz and a vibe.
Yeah. So, Michelle, what stands out to you when you're working with people who are big names, and
Yeah,
particularly names that like they all appear to be down to earth
yeah,
types of people. Is there anything
yeah.
that you found stood out to you?
They actually really are. So, I've got a great photo. It's my screensaver, and it's on my desk as well with President Obama. And yeah, what you see is what you get with most of these people. And, even a couple of them, you can see they're nervous. Not him, he's done it so much, but, a couple of them, I've been backstage with them, and you can tell that they're nervous, and, they're asking questions that you would probably ask yourself. And it just makes you realize they're just humans. They're just
Yeah.
humans. They're just everyday people who have insecurities like the rest of us. And yeah, it's just, yeah, I can't say there's anybody that I've worked with that I've gone, oh my God, they're a dick or they're, anything like
Yeah,
that.
that's
Like,
reassuring. Good.
yeah,
All
yes.
the names that you just
Yeah,
rattled off then, yeah, they're people that I admire from and have done for quite some time. So it's good to hear that
yeah,
they appear what they are.
yes.
And did just the whole meeting and being in that world, you must have met not only the big names who you were
Yep.
setting events up for, but you just must have met some really interesting people as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I really enjoyed meeting Malala and her family. And yeah, it was a photo that I actually took that went viral, was me backstage with her. I was behind the curtain so I could get a picture of the crowd. And she was just so humble. Like as she got a standing ovation as she walked on the stage. And that was the ICC, which was full. I'm trying to think how many people the ICC, I think it's about, I want to say about 9,000 people that the ICC holds, giving her a standing ovation as she walked on the stage. And she's tiny, like I'm only 5 foot. She's about my height, and that was with heels on. And yeah, just her walking out onto the stage to a standing ovation. And I've just got this shot of her walking on in the crowds. And yeah, I still get goosebumps when I when I think about it. To see the effect that's, one person can have on that many people. Yeah, it makes you realize that, one person can make a difference.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
Well, being a part of something that's bigger than yourself must have been really rewarding. I would imagine
yes,
just, yeah, from my point
yeah,
of view. And what was the
yeah.
catalyst then for you leaving that career? Because obviously it was cracking.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Well, COVID. So, and I had just started, well, thankfully, I'd started practicing mindfulness and meditation about 2017, I think, and sort of started studying it and wanting to share it. And, I mean, it made me so much better at my job as an events manager. I was able to handle that level of pressure and stress, whereas, especially after Obama in Australia, like, a few people going, "Oh my God, you're just so calm and chilled." And I'm like, you know what? If that had been me 5 years ago, I'd be rocking under the desk in the fetal position.
Yeah.
So I'd started on my mindfulness and meditation journey, and then of course COVID hit. So I'll distinctly remember March 13th, we had Simon Sinek's Australian tour all packed and ready to go, and was flying out, I think that following week. And yeah, then March 13th, when the government shut down the events industry. So obviously I was the first one to go. And yeah, I was still going, oh, everyone's overreacting. This will just blow
Mm.
over.
As
And then,
many of us
yeah,
were.
how many
Yeah.
years later? But
Oh,
I think it's good I did have that break, because I did find the events we did for the Obamas in Singapore was quite stressful. Just being on, because I was in different time zone as well, dealing with America, Australia. I'm in Singapore, and you're just like on the go from like 6 in the morning to 7, 8 at night. And, you've just constantly got people contacting you, and, it's email and phone and text and meetings. And I pondered after that whether I wanted to do it anymore.
yeah.
So I think the break was good. And I always laugh with the woman that I work for, that when I came back in 2023, I said it's like having kids. You forget the pain of the first one after a few years, and you go back for the second.
And in saying that though, Michelle, you've also got children. So how did you
Yeah.
battle
Yes.
big
Yeah. That
gaps?
was challenging. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. I remember, yeah, I've been doing back-to-back events at overseas passenger terminal in Sydney, and breastfeeding my son, and my husband would just come down every 4 hours, and I'd run to a green room, feed him, throw him back. And yeah, I was like, oh
Um,
yeah, no, I can't do this anymore. So
yeah.
I've had breaks throughout. Yeah, it's not, I mean, I don't do this high level kind of event every week. It's
Mm.
maybe 4 a year that we were doing, because it would take 3 months to organize something like that. So yeah, I did the old pivot and went all in on teaching mindfulness and meditation, as it was, I found it so beneficial in my personal and professional life. So, I started putting up online courses, and when we were able to start doing workshops and running programs and things like that.
Mm. So we'll dig in deep into that
Yep.
that's really the topic of our conversation.
Yep.
I do love the aside and learning all about what you did when you were event managing. Though that's quite fascinating.
Yeah.
So we'll turn to that conversation about meditation, and it
Yep.
like for you, it's one of the favorite things that I've got in my life, and it was
Yep.
absolutely life changing as well.
Yes.
And I'll get you to talk a little bit about because we know, for some people they come with there's a continuum. Some have got have been practicing meditation, others might have dabbled, others
Yep.
don't know much about it. So there are a variety of different forms of meditation and they have
Yes.
various different benefits.
Yep.
So in my case, when I was a teacher, I taught mindfulness meditation to the
Yep.
children in my class, and that was a daily,
Awesome.
which was
Yep.
beautiful. It was one of their favorite times and mine of the day.
Yep.
And then when I was going through the throes of an incredibly stressful time and
Mm.
multiple transitions, I went and I was taught, I found a teacher to teach me Vedic meditation, which also comes with some
Ah.
philosophy. So I'm a Vedic meditator, which is
Yep.
a mantra-based practice, 20 to 30 minutes twice a day for me. And
Yep.
that was life-changing. So that was
Mm.
6 years ago. And I cannot imagine my life without being a daily meditator.
Yep.
Even if I can't get two in, one in, there would be a very rare day in my life.
Yep.
One a day wouldn't happen.
Yep. Becomes not negotiable. Hey.
Yeah. So for you, what was it the catalyst? So for me, it was that,
Yeah.
oh my God, I can't cope. I need something else, and I knew this was going to be it for me.
Yeah, so similar. So early 40s and I separated, two small children. My kids' party business wasn't doing so well at that point. Google changed all their algorithms and blah, blah, blah. And yeah, so I had a declining business, separated, two small children. My car, like, seemed to spend more time at the mechanic than it did at home. Trying to, pay a mortgage by myself, which I couldn't afford. I was going to have to sell the house. And I was chronic back pain too. Forgot about that. The chronic back pain. So I was on painkillers and then, drinking copious amounts of alcohol every night basically to get to sleep and then get up, do it all over again. And I was just in a constant state of overwhelm. And it got to the point where, yeah, I was at my doctor's and just crying basically. And she wanted to put me on antidepressants. And I don't have anything against antidepressants, but for me, I was like, I knew I had to find something that didn't just help me when I got in that state of overwhelm, but prevented it in the first place because I didn't want to keep living like this. Yeah, so I had a friend at the time who practiced meditation and he suffered from bipolar and was an alcoholic as well and it seemed to work for him. So I thought I'll give it a go. Couldn't sit still for 5 minutes, couldn't get to 10 breaths, any of that. I found the apps quite challenging and confusing and even more overwhelming because there were so many of them and yeah, and that's when for a progression of the universe just sending me in the right direction, I just ended up going to training. It was actually for teaching kids. So Janet Eddy Leal, teaching kids meditation. I went to one of her workshops in Melbourne because my mum just happened to be going on a shopping weekend that exact same weekend. And someone had passed me her book at a Toastmasters session I was in because I did Toastmasters for a while. And yeah, so I went there and then her teacher was Ian Gawler. I went and did his. And then also at that workshop, I met who's now the president of it changed names, Australian Centre for Mindfulness and Meditation. Met her and all her team were there. So one of them became my teacher as well, went on to do the graduate diploma in teaching mindfulness and meditation. Funnily enough, the first training I did was mindfulness meditation with at Ian Gawler's foundation. And I was like, yeah, no, this isn't for me. Because with mindfulness meditation, as you know, there's steps that you have to follow. And I was like, I just want to get to the relaxation bit, I
Yeah.
just want to get to the quiet bit. And then funnily enough, that's what I ended up teaching because I just love the simplicity of it. I like to be woo-woo, I'm wearing crystals and I have incense and all that sort of stuff. But I love that mindfulness meditation is practical. It's not religious, even though it is, based on Buddhism practices. and really just teaching you to stay in the moment. My meditation is just one, as you know, meditation is just one way to practice being in the moment. So it's, combining meditation and mindfulness together to train our brains basically to be able to focus better
Mm.
and, reduce those feelings of overwhelm, sleep better, less stress or cope with stress. You're never going to get rid of all stress in your life. So yeah, I just continued on this journey of just learning and practicing myself. And yeah, and then I thought this would be great to teach to kids. Did kids first, and then I found that quite challenging because, as you know, unless they want to do it themselves,
Yeah.
it's very hard to teach them, even teens. And yeah, so then I went to teaching it to adults.
Mm. And so what do you find for yourself personally,
Mm.
the benefits that you've
The
noticed?
benefits. Yeah. So I always laugh too because I always think if someone had told me that if I just sat still and did nothing for 30 minutes in the morning, I'd be more productive, I would have been like, I can send 20 emails in 30 minutes,
Yeah.
But wow, it really does. So I'm more productive. It takes a hell of a lot now to get me overwhelmed. Four Obama events in 5 days. If that doesn't get me overwhelmed, then yeah. And so it takes a lot these days and really switched my mindset around self-care as well. I think
Mm.
that was the biggest thing for COVID for me too, was putting myself first in the mornings, practicing that meditation, walking, self-care in the mornings, so you can then give to everybody else and, work, kids, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, definitely. And accepting your emotions too, like learning that it's okay just to allow emotions, just let them be. You don't have to fix them. You don't have to analyze everything. You can just allow them. I think that's been huge for me. And, everybody overthinks. Everybody does. It's a myth that meditation is about not thinking. It's just about learning to be more aware and, oh, that level of self-awareness. Yeah. So many things, so many benefits.
I'm nodding away because everything
Yeah.
you said so far, that's exactly what I've found as well.
Yeah.
I suppose it's slowing down to speed up, slowing down and allow
Yeah. I like that. Yeah.
really does help you then get on with the rest of your day and
Yeah.
finding time, particularly if you can find that, like for you and I, it's a longer length of time, and that may not
Yeah.
be for other people, but it doesn't have
Yeah.
to be that long. If
No.
was looking, say, Michelle, and wanting to start out and explore what meditation could look like for them,
Yeah.
what sort of advice would you give a woman?
Yeah. So just start with breathing. And I know it sounds, oh, what's the big deal about breathing? I mean,
Um,
we have to do it to live, but you don't need all the props and the apps and all that sort of stuff too. So rather than get yourself overwhelmed thinking you need to have all this, just a simple, easy practice is just putting, one hand on your chest, one hand on your belly, and breathing in and out through your nose and just counting 10 breaths. And as you're doing that, just feeling no, you can't see on my camera, just feeling, that movement in your chest and your belly with each breath. Because when we breathe in and out through the nostrils, we engage our parasympathetic nervous system, and that movement of the diaphragm, which only moves when we're breathing in through the nose, because if we do in and out through the mouth when we're stressed,
mm,
like that, there's not enough movement in the lungs and the
yeah.
diaphragm. Whereas if you're breathing in through the nose, and it's not about taking a deep breath, it's just doing it in through the nose, which makes the lungs expand, push that diaphragm down, belly out. That's why they call it belly breathing. And that movement massages your vagus nerve, which sends a message to your brain telling you to calm down. So literally just doing that for 10 breaths. And you can do it anywhere. You can do it sitting
Mm,
down at your desk you can do it anywhere, anytime as well. So
yeah.
definitely just mindful breathing. I mean, it's also called belly breathing, diaphragmatic breathing, but just consciously doing that in breath in through the nose, just doing that like 10 times and just feeling the chest and the belly
Mm,
moving. And that's just giving your mind something to focus on. So, it's just giving an anxious, busy mind something else to focus on by getting you to put your hands on your belly, chest, and just feel as everything expands as you breathe in and relaxes as you breathe out. I'm just doing
yeah.
that, like I said, for 10 breaths, 1 minute even.
That's it.
Five, you know,
Everyone's
if you
got
did that
time
for
for
5 minutes
that.
a day,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
5 minutes a day of that, and you don't need to. I know some people get angry with me for saying this. You don't need to sit on a pillow for half an hour every day. I love it. It's great. I liken it to physical exercise. If you go
Mm.
for a 5 minute walk, as opposed to, sorry, if you go for a 5 minute walk, you're going to get some benefit. You go for a half an hour walk, you're going to get more benefit. So same
Yes.
with meditation. 5 minutes, you're still going to get something. Half an hour, you will get more, but you still get something. And
Mm.
it's the consistency. It's doing it every day. So doing 5 minutes every day is far better than going to, say, a 1 hour class once a week.
Yep. Yep.
It's that consistency that builds up that bank of resilience.
And do
So,
your children meditate as well, Michelle? Is that something that they've watched mum and they're,
so
yeah.
they, yeah, they did when they were younger. My son's 19 now and moved out of home. I'm not sure if he does actually. I'll have to check with him. My daughter, look, we've done lots in the past. She has ADHD, so she does struggle a little bit with meditation. So she will do more tangible things like, you can touch your fingers with each breath.
Mm.
She's more into that, or binaural beats or music, listening to those sorts of things that help balance those brain waves. So again, yeah, sitting on a pillow for 20 minutes is not for her, but
Yeah.
there's other things that she can do.
Mm.
And yeah, she does have the belly breathing. Checking in with your senses is a really good one too. A mindfulness practice of just sitting there and going, okay, what's 5 things you can see around you? What's 4 things that you can feel or touch? 3 things you can hear, 2 things that you can smell, and 1 thing that you can taste. It's just a great way to bring you back into the present moment if you're feeling overwhelmed, having an anxiety or panic attack or anything like that. Whether you've gone into fight, flight, or freeze, it's a great way to bring that prefrontal cortex back online
Mm.
and bring you back into the present moment rather than, that mind wandering off into the future, which can cause anxiety, or going back into the past, which can cause depression. So
Yes.
anything that just helps you stay grounded in that moment.
Yeah. And for many women, because there is so much going on, yeah, your suggestion of
Mm,
just sit with your breath to start off with, 5 breaths, 10 breaths, whatever it is,
yeah,
those slow, mindful, full breaths. From that point onwards, what's
yeah,
something else that you can start adding in? I mean, you've talked about the sensory types of things to
yeah,
look around. Binaural beats is another great way, or something else you can add. Is there a
yeah,
place, and I know there are heaps of apps available, and
yeah,
where else? Like you're a teacher. Is there
yeah.
a organization that people can go, righto, I want to do something?
Yeah, so look, as far as apps go, I like Insight Timer, because it's free. Again, it's a matter of just trying not to get yourself overwhelmed and sticking to the same meditation, like doing the same thing every day for a week. Don't chop and change and do something different every day. Try and get that consistency and stick to something before you move on to something else. Things like just, doing physical exercise. So if you go walking, when you're walking, just choosing 1 thing to focus on. So it could be as you're walking, notice the color of the trees or the grass, or count how many dogs go past. So just choosing 1 thing to focus on. Multitasking, we all, I used to say I was a multitasker and put that on my CV all the time. No such thing. The realistically, doing you're not doing multiple things at once. You're actually switching your brain from 1 thing to the other, to the other, to the other. So when you're running around, you put the kettle on and then you run off and do something else, or you heat up your coffee in the microwave for a minute, you run off and do something else. It's about learning to actually just stay there. Stay there for that minute, stand there and do nothing else. When you're eating, you're just eating. So instead
Mm.
of multitasking, think of it as single tasking. And that just relieves the stress on your brain. Yeah, think of it as like you've got 10 tabs open in Chrome. You're not actually looking at 2 pages at once. You're flicking from one to the other, from one to the other, from one to the other. Very unproductive and puts more stress and wear and tear on your brain and puts it into the stress response without you realizing too. Even if you never meditate, it's just practicing these moments of mindfulness where you just focus on doing 1 thing at a time, and just doing things like, dropping your shoulders, like throughout the day, just dropping your shoulders, realizing how much tension we hold in
Mm.
our shoulders and in our bodies. So many things. It's just finding something that works for you. Yeah. So whether, if you're not someone that can sit still on a pillow for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, yeah, practice walking meditation, practice, things like Qigong, obviously yoga, also things like Tai Chi, just great practices that get you in your body and out of your head.
Yeah. You have listed so many different things that every single person, truly, no, it's
Yeah,
not somebody who would listen to this episode and not come away with at least one thing. If,
yeah,
10 things, if you could, I could probably
yeah,
rattle off on my own fingers. Because if I just think to myself, sometimes when I'm doing, it might be waiting for the kettle to boil. I do. You fill it up with other things. Oh, I'm going to
yeah,
do this or put that away, or, instead of
yeah,
just being.
yeah.
And our bodies weren't designed for what we're putting them through now. And if
No.
you can just think about what you do on your phone and what your brain sees in a day and the stresses
Yep,
that you take on with everybody else's telling you what they want you to consume,
yep,
to give yourself that time of grace and peace and quiet, it doesn't
hmm
take a long time to
yep.
be able to reset.
And it's scientifically proven that sitting
Mhm.
in stillness for long periods of time actually increases your gray brain matter, which is, learning, memory, all those sorts of things. They've done studies now into it, helping prevent Alzheimer's, heart disease. Like it's just, incredible the studies now that, you don't have to feel selfish for sitting and doing nothing.
Mm.
Realize that this is actually going to make you a better person mentally, emotionally, physically, and that'll have a knock-on effect on the people around you as well. And yeah, it's not a matter of fitting another routine into your day. It's things that you're doing already. Just practice doing them while you're not doing anything else.
Yeah. And even if it feels impossible for somebody who's listening, going, I can't because I've only got this amount of time. What's one thing that you could take out in order for you
Yep,
to put in just for yourself, rather, just take out and add this little
yep.
extra in.
Scrolling through your phone.
Oh, mate, if
So,
anybody just has, if you're saying you don't have enough time, have a look on the, where you can actually see how much time you
yeah,
are spending on your phone.
yeah.
That's
Stick your
it.
phone on Do Not Disturb. So mine goes on Do Not Disturb from 8:30 at night to when my alarm goes off in the morning.
Yeah.
So again, it's just to give your brain a break.
Yes.
Um, and even if it's just when you go to bed, lying in bed and just consciously relaxing every part of your body, just go, okay, I'm going to relax the muscles in my face now. I'm going to relax my arms, going to just tuning into your body while you're lying there in bed at night. You
Yeah.
sleep like that.
Yeah, that's it. And you mentioned as well, Michelle, at the start that you slept better. And I know certainly for me,
Yeah.
I had night sweats waking me up,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah. Can't do anything about
can't
that,
do
I'm
anything about
afraid.
that. That's
Yeah.
something else that's going on in my brain.
Yeah.
But I just know definitely that is the first, the moment that you fall asleep, it is deep.
Yeah.
And I just found that incredibly powerful that I had,
Yeah.
even if I was woken up continually, I had, when I first started, I knew I was getting good, deep, restful sleep. And
Yeah.
that was so restorative in itself.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. Like not getting enough sleep is just a vicious cycle.
Absolutely.
Um, but yeah, by practicing mindfulness, you start to release some of that mind chatter. So instead of lying in bed at night worrying about all the things that happen during the day or what you've got to do tomorrow, by practicing mindfulness, you learn to let that go.
Mm,
Let those thoughts go and they become less and less intrusive, or you're able to practice things like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to park that till tomorrow.
yeah,
And, that's what helps you get that better sleep is that you're not, your mind's not racing when you're lying there trying to go to sleep.
so right.
And you learn to relax your body as well. If you do have, like suffer from any pain like me, it's, learning to tune into your body and relax it properly before you go
Mm.
to sleep as well.
So do you still have, just thinking about what you just mentioned, have you still got back pain, Michelle?
Yeah, nowhere near as bad as what it used to be and not consistent. It's just, yeah, every now and then it'll flare up.
Okay.
Because I still think I'm 25 and can go to the gym and, climb mountains and go dancing and
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. You need that kind of reminder. We
Yeah.
feel 25 inside, maybe not the body saying reminding us
Yes.
it's not.
But no, it's not chronic consistent pain anymore.
Oh,
No,
that's
gosh,
good.
no, thank God. Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
We've spoken about for both of us have had profound changes that have happened in
Yeah.
because we've had this. Is there someone or a client that you've worked with that you can think of where you've seen or you've heard their story that you might like to share with us as well?
Yeah, so not so much a story, but I remember so the 4 week program that I teach on behalf of Mindfulness Works Australia, um, when I first started teaching, I was like, wow, they're packing like an 8 week mindfulness course into 4 weeks. And but I'm always astounded at the difference it makes to people after 4 weeks. And one woman in particular, the first week she came, she couldn't sit still. She couldn't sit still. She looked like a deer in headlights. I thought she was going to burst out crying every session. And I think it was the biggest because always ask people at the end, what was your biggest takeaway from the 4 weeks? And I saw the difference in probably week 3, which is about managing your thoughts, and then week 3 was emotions. So some practices like Tara Brach's Rain. And the one practice that we did was okay, and we just did like a bit of a role play. Recognize, tell a story, name the emotion that you're feeling as a result of that story, where you're feeling it in your body, and then I want you just to sit there for a minute in silence and just allow it. Mate, she came back next week with a smile, the week after with a smile on her face. And yeah, she said her biggest takeaway was just allowing her emotions. Like, even if she has to sit there and cry for 5 minutes, just giving that permission to herself to allow her to feel that emotion. And then she's good to go. So yeah, for me, that was like I think, yeah,
Yeah,
just
that's really
seeing the
powerful.
difference. Yeah, it was definitely. Yeah.
Yes. And so if someone is interested in doing a longer course, where would you
Yeah.
start? Where would you direct people to go? Like, can they do work with you
Yeah.
if they don't live on the Sunshine Coast?
Yeah, so I do one-on-one coaching. Look, I prefer in person, but I can do it virtually as well. I run workshops in workplaces, and every now and then I'll do so the 4 week course we've turned into a day course as well, which we just did in Caloundra, which seemed to suit again people that are time poor and can't
Yeah.
even commit to 4 1 hour sessions. Found it better to do one day, which is full on doing all that in one day. But if you go to Mindfulness Works Australia's website, they do courses all over Australia. So it doesn't matter where you are. There's a 4 week intro course, which I highly recommend. And yeah, in terms of, so I guess Sunshine Coast at the moment, there's not a huge amount of people that I know are running regular, like weekly meditation classes. More sort of, I do run retreats and that as well. Not running any locally this year. I'm running one in, as you know, Okinawa in
Yes. Okay,
October.
tell us about
Um,
that too when you
but
finish.
yeah, so yes, I will. So yeah, straight out of COVID, I was running retreats, which was great, like regional Queensland. But then, of course, once travel started up again, everybody wanted to start going to Bali and places like that. But yeah, Meditation Association Australia is a good one you can go to too, and you'll be able to see registered teachers, where they are, what they offer. So that's a couple of good sites.
So I know that you've given me, and they will be added to the show links as well.
Yep.
Some of the
hmm
websites that you've given me. So tell us about the retreat that you've got coming up in Okinawa. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, so that was through Lionhearted Foundation with Jeanette. We are we're going to Okinawa because it has a blue zone. So if anybody's familiar with the book Ikigai, which is about finding your purpose, and it's also about areas around the world which they call blue zones, and they have the highest population of people over 100. But they're not just living beyond the age of 100. They are very healthily, mentally, emotionally, physically. And it's a number of factors, things like the common factors were A lot of them grow their own fruit and vegetables, practice mindfulness, but also they have very tight-knit social networks and they stay active as well. Like they might retire, but they still keep going to work, or their day, starts with going to a neighbor for a cup of tea or coffee. So it's yeah, a beautiful way of life. And we're going to Okimi Village in Okinawa, where you can go and see how they live. Unfortunately, there's not as many of the population living past those years now because the younger generations are tending to go more towards, fast food and things like that, and, technology, social media, all those sorts of things. So, unfortunately, it is on the decline, but you can still go to places like that. And we're just going to be immersing ourselves in the culture and doing everything from a place of mindfulness. So, really being present. We go do a tea ceremony. We're going to do snorkeling. We'll do a forest walk. We are going to do a cooking class, and what else? An art workshop as well. So, and
Sounds
yeah, just
wonderful.
doing all that with a intentional level of mindfulness. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
I bet you are. That sounds absolutely
Yeah.
incredible. Yeah.
Yes.
And also you're not only a practicing teacher, you're going to
Yep.
be helping to lead a retreat there. You facilitate
Yep.
programs, but you've also written a book. So tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that as well. I'd love to hear more.
Yeah. Yeah, so I wanted to put everything that I'd learnt and also the way I teach, if I'm doing a 6 week session a 6 session program with a one-on-one client, or whether I'm teaching the 4 or 6 week or 8 week course, wanted to put that all into a very practical book. So it's broken up into the different areas. So what mindfulness is and how to practice it, a little bit of history on meditation, tips for beginners, and then you've got your breathing practices, your relaxation practices, tips for managing thoughts, and then emotions. And you can go through, and there's QR codes which will take you to there's a QR code for every meditation, all the exercises that are in there. So every theme's got a few exercises, a meditation, audios, videos of me demonstrating how to do it as well. So it's more sort of like a workbook that you can work through. It's called Cultivating a Calm Mind. And yeah, it's set out like a workbook where you can go through each chapter and do the practices in each one and then move on to the next.
Oh, sounds amazing. So I'll have the link to that as well in the
Yeah,
show notes that
perfect.
people can access straight away. So before we have
Great.
our wrap-up questions, is there anything else that you might want to share or any tips, advice that you would like to give the listeners about meditation and mindfulness?
Yeah, I think just yeah, keep it simple. Make it something that you can already integrate into your everyday life rather than, thinking of it as something else you've got to fit in. Realize that you're probably doing some of these things already without even realizing it as well. Like it's not woo-woo or scientific. It's, we were all born with the ability to be mindful. We've just started living such fast-paced lives that, we've just forgotten or we're just living on autopilot. So it's just about breaking that habit of living on autopilot and living with more intention. And you just start to notice things like, beautiful sunsets and sunrises and appreciate, little things like just sitting there with your pets and family. And yeah, it just really makes you really appreciate the small things and not sweat the big stuff, all the little stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, great advice. Okay, so some wrap-up questions
Yes.
for our chat today. Now that life is feeling less stressful for you, even though I'm sure there's lots of things that you need to fill into your day, what are
Yeah.
you enjoying about this stage of life?
Slowing down, and I don't, it's not that I don't have any ambition, but I've wound back my own business a lot where I am just teaching, on demand basically. If someone wants me to do a workshop, if someone wants me to do coaching, I will do it, but I'm not spending, all my time and energy on promoting it on social media and sending out newsletters and all that sort of stuff, which you do have to do if you want to run a successful business or you're starting out. I 100% understand that. Going back and working in events, I'm enjoying as well. Working back in events again, we run a lot of virtual events now, so I've really sort of pivoted. It's probably the one thing I don't enjoy so much is I seem to be spending more time on a computer now. But I love that, in the mornings I can do my meditation, my exercise, walk the dog, sort of start work 10 or 11 and work the hours that suit me too. Like I'm much better in the afternoons. I hit my stride at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So
Mm.
having that adaptability and being able to travel whenever I want to. Like I've done so much travel in the last few years. It's just been awesome. Being able to go to the US, lucky enough, with my events work. I've been to the US the last 2 years and going again this year. And yeah, creating deeper connections as well because I've got that time and that ability to
Mm.
slow down, listen to people more, ask deeper questions. So, because I'm not busy enough, I run a meetup group as well. I run a social
Of course
meetup
you
group
do.
on the weekends. Yeah. And I really enjoy getting to meet people through there, but also I felt like I had quite superficial connections with that group. So I'm making more of an intentional effort now to really sort of go on a deeper level with people. It's become very important to me this year is creating deeper connections. And yeah, just slowing down.
Oh, it sounds lovely. Well, you're filling it with the things that
Yeah.
bring you joy, and how,
Yes.
that's sort of the thing
Yeah.
I finding for myself, the flexibility and doing things that,
Yeah.
light me up, because
Yeah.
it makes you a different person and more, and a nicer to be around, quite frankly. I think if we can,
Yes. Yeah, if you're happy and you're filling your own cup, then yeah, people do gravitate towards you.
yeah.
Yeah.
And is that something that you're looking forward to in the next 5, 10, 15 years, or is there something else that, you're
So,
really
look,
wanting to do?
professionally, I'd love to work on the Olympics. Got
Ah,
a few feelers out there. It'll
yeah.
be a few years before they start recruiting events positions. So I would love to work on the Olympics because it's like I just laugh a little bit about the environments. I'm like, it's like winning Wimbledon. Where do you go from there? Like, Olympics. Okay, yep. So I would love to, and in any capacity whatsoever.
Ah,
I
brilliant.
don't. It doesn't have to be big. Just working on the Olympics, I think would be amazing.
Yes.
And for me, now that I'm doing a lot more sort of digital base, I'd like to do more travel and go, live 3 months here, 3 months there, maybe
Mm.
Bali for 3 months, see how I go, because I don't have to necessarily be based there anymore. So it's
Yeah.
having that flexibility and then, just need to fly to where I need to do the events. But
Yes.
yeah, I'd really love to go do 3 months here, 3 months there in different countries and
Sounds fabulous. Be a
yeah,
digital
travel and
nomad.
work. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Digital nomad. That's it.
oh,
Yeah.
brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for our final wrap-up question then, Michelle, what do you hope 80-year-old Michelle is going to say about current day Michelle?
Yeah, 80-year-old will say about me when I was this age. Oh, that's an interesting one. Usually the other way around, isn't it? What would you
Yeah.
like to say to you? Yeah, other way around. I think 80-year-old would have a smile on her face, remembering all the adventures that I got up to. And yeah, I always have this saying that I'd rather regret the things I did than regret the things that I didn't do.
Oh,
So
that's
hopefully, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
no
Oh, thank you.
regrets.
Thank you so much for all of your wise words and the incredible
Thank you.
little things that people can add to their day
Yeah,
right now. They don't have to wait. It's not going to be hard. Just what
no,
that's I think the biggest takeaway from this episode is that it doesn't have to be overwhelming.
no.
It doesn't have to
And
be a huge investment of your time.
yeah. And realizing too that, yeah, when we do get to, this sort of transition in this age too, because you do have more time on your hands, you do start to think more.
Hmm.
So realizing too that there's nothing wrong with you because you've become a certain age. It's just natural that all of a sudden you've got more time on your hands and you may not be working anymore, or you may not have children that need you anymore, and you just have more time on your hands. What's your brain going to do? It's going to start overthinking. So realizing that that's just normal as well.
Mm. Yeah, well, that's a lovely way to end our chat today.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Really appreciate you coming on.
Thanks, Joe.
All right.
I enjoyed being on. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you feel inspired to make the next chapter of your life the best one yet. And remember to share this episode with someone else who would love it, and connect with me on Instagram or LinkedIn at Joe Clark Coaching. All the links and the details from today's episode are in the show notes or at joeclarkcoaching.com. And if you enjoyed this episode, please follow or subscribe this show on your favourite podcast app and leave a 5-star rating and review. This helps more midlife women find these empowering conversations. I can't wait to chat with you next week. Until then, take care and keep creating a life that you love.